The last episode of the popular show Popeye the Sailor Man was released on Boomerang during the 2000s was halted from the episodes due to a mysterious alternate episode of the last cartoon episode airing at 2:30 after Dexter's Laboratory. On the description of the episode, it says as following. Popeye has met his match as Pluto's absence over years. Now he has come back to finish what they started. After the episode's release, everyone reported the episode being overly realistic, sickening, and overbearing. Violence feels almost too real, and the characters' personalities have been edited. The original last episode, Thimble Theater, was reworked into Beatdown Blues before it was remodeled back to Thimble Theater. I recently found out the episode after a friend recalled this episode to me. Now, what you're going to read is retelling from my friend's perspective, but these are recollections since it's been years from watching Popeye the Sailor Man since he stopped watching TV. Started all 4 weeks ago while I was on a trip in Indiana visiting my grandfather's house. He recently allowed me to watch some of his favorite movies and shows. He grew up with MASH, Tom and Jerry, Pinky and the Brain, Terminator, RoboCop, and of course, Popeye. I looked at the Popeye DVD and looked closely. Some of the episodes were normal, like Popeye the Sailor meets Ali Baba's 40 Thieves, Greek mythology, patriotic Popeye, and assault and flattery. However, one episode caught my eye. Beatdown Blues! This screenshot barely looked like a Popeye episode. It looked like an edited picture of Rocky, but no. When I looked closer, I came to a horrifying realization. It was Popeye. His face was bruised. He was missing his hat and his pipe. His head was bruised and heavily damaged, and the quality of the shot had a weird hue of blue. His lips were damaged and dripping a thick layer of saliva. Curious but horrified, I quickly inserted the DVD in and sat down quickly. The menu was normal, but it showed Popeye and Pluto staring at each other with a menacing, cartoony, angry look. The menu had play, set up episodes and trailers right on the right side. I highlighted episodes and pressed on the remote and went to the Beatdown Blues. After a short transition, the episode started. The episode started with the famous Paramount animation logo and to the title card, Beatdown Blues, written in black and blue colors. Cuts to Popeye riding a car with Olive. They were about to have a picnic. Gee, Popeye! It's swell taking me to the park for a picnic, Popeye, Olive said with a bit of glee. Oh, gee, anything for a lady, Popeye said, followed with an ah. That's when I showed Pluto dead in the road. He looked strangely mortified. Popeye was first angry, but he noticed Pluto's face. He couldn't help but feel bad for the poor guy. Hey, Pluto, why the long face? Popeye asked, sitting next to him. Pluto went silent. Then he said, I'm homeless. I'm ruined. I've lost all my jobs, me home, and I lost everything. Oh, Popeye, Wimpy sued me. Popeye's eyes were seen, with two angry bowls were showing on his hat, or showing in his eyes. Then Popeye said with anger, Oh, that rotten Wimpy. Pluto had a light bulb on his head and patted Popeye in the shoulder. Say, don't you sign up the boxing ring contest and the stadium's hosting? Popeye was first happy, but with a seeking suspicion, he was keeping him away. This is another one of your tricks to steal me, girl. Olive, isn't it? Pluto said with a hearty laugh, as how stupid it sounded. Why would I want Olive? Popeye, I quit capturing her. I'm sorry if I ever stole her. I'm sorry if I was a jerk. I'm sorry for everything. Would you forgive me? Popeye couldn't believe it. Pluto really changed. Popeye shook Pluto's hands. A deal, pal, he said. Pluto gave him a small but friendly smile. Say, I got even a swell idea. How about if I joined you? The paper says it's a tag team. Popeye smiled. Gee, would you join me? Popeye replied. Of course, Popeye. In fact, we shall be known as the rejected sailors. The screen dissolved into the boxing ring where the people gathered around. An announcer came on the microphone, but things could start pretty gruesome. The announcer came on stage, but the dialogue was muted. Nothing was heard. Literally nothing. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I see that in Russian. I was confused, but since my grandpa was here, I asked him what the text mean. He paused and then told me it was ladies and gentlemen in Russian. I continued the episode. Popeye and Pluto seen in one corner of the ring. By the looks, they looked horrific. Pluto has a nasty gashes across his head, a bruised eye in Pluto's right eye, plentiful scratches and broken teeth. Popeye had the same, but his mouth was bleeding and one of his eyes was a deeper blue bruised. Two of his referees came over and splashed some water and tried to wake the two for the next fight. That's where I seen the two. It shown Whippy and a bigger guy behind him. Whippy's design was different. He had an angry look to him and his friend wasn't seen. It was behind him, which was off-putting for a Popeye episode. Suddenly, the screen cuts to black as all you heard was a cartoon smashing noises, realistic screaming, and bone-crushing noises. I covered my ears. The sound was incredibly loud. Afterwards, it showed a Popeye and Pluto knocked out and in the hospital with bandages. The last conversation before the episode was the one piece of dialogue it remembered. It went as such. Pluto's head turned around as he said softly, "Maybe it wasn't such a good idea if we fought Wimpy." Popeye went silent before he turned his head and said, "Don't worry. When we get out of the hospital, we're going to teach him a lesson. Just wait," he said. Turning back around, the end screen showed up and finally the cartoon ended. I was completely shocked. How did my grandpa not notice how incredibly different and horrifying it was? In a state of shock, I asked the family if we could have a talk about the DVDs. My dad turned to Grandpa and asked, "Oh yeah, what about the Popeye episode I couldn't watch?" Grandpa's face went as pale as he said in horror, "They die. In the last minutes of the credits, they died." Everyone was silent. "That's it, we're going back," my dad screamed. He grabbed us and drove us away. While driving home, they were about the final line, "We'll teach him a lesson." What would Popeye do to Wimpy? Who's the guy in the background? What made Wimpy this mad at the two? Most importantly, who made the episode?